Welcome to our special Halloween edition of Salon Horror Stories. Sarah, I am excited about this one. How are you doing?
Oh, I am so stoked. I love spooky season. It is my favorite time of the year, so I'm really excited for this episode.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into it. We've got three amazing stories to share today, and the first one is particularly spooky because it deals with a haunted salon. Real life haunted salon. This lady opened up a salon, a home-based salon. So she actually lives in the house that's connected to the salon. It's, I think, at least 100 years old in northern New England. And she has claimed a lot of sort of spooky, haunted spirits in her house and salon since she got there, which I think is pretty crazy. The very first one that she experienced was with regards to this incredibly weird smell of coffee. Listen to this.
Wake up one morning and I can smell coffee. I'm laying in bed and I'm thinking, am I home? Like, mom and dad, you go home, they're cooking breakfast downstairs, you wake up. And I sat up and I'm like, I'm not crazy. I smell coffee. And I got up, went downstairs. The house is a construction zone. My daughter's sound asleep. There's no coffee. Just move forward. Now, the verification for that is fast forward about 6 years. The salon is up and running. I have a booth runner. And I kind of had this rule: when I go home next door to have lunch, please don't bother me. Let me have respite. And we had known each other for decades, this hairdresser and I. So she texts me and she says, I know I'm breaking the rule, but you have got to come over. So, oh boy, I go over. I'm thinking broken plumbing, Nope. She's cutting this man's hair. He's married, lovely couple. They've been in the area forever. And they used to socialize with the previous owners. And the previous owners told them the story about the coffee. And we all just stood there. The blood just left our face. I really felt like I was going to be physically ill. And I'm like, okay, calm down.
Sarah, what do you make of this? Like, how would you feel if you woke up one day, you'd say you're living alone and you just smell coffee everywhere, but there's no coffee brewing, there's nobody around, no one's dropped a Tim Hortons, on your doorstep.
Yeah. Well, I do live alone and I don't own a coffee machine, so I feel like I would be absolutely terrified. But at the same time, I feel like there's worse fragrances that you could be greeted with. You know what I mean? Like, at least it's not the smell of gasoline or decomposition or something. Like, I'll take coffee over that. So
that is a great point, but freaky, a little freaky nonetheless.
Oh, this is nightmare fuel. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and be like, do I smell coffee? They've come to visit me. Yes.
So the next thing that she's been troubled with is seeing shadows in her house. This to me is freaky. I don't know, but let's listen to what she has to say about this.
If there's something going wrong with the house, if there's a lot of construction people, I'll see them out of the corner of my eyes. It's just this dark, did something just walk by? That was verified by 2 owners ago. This man named Ed, his wife hated this house. He bought it as a real estate situation. She had a young daughter. She always complained. She never wanted to be here. And that shadow played tricks on her, especially in the hallways, for years. And I just found this out in 2021. I mean, the hairs on the back of my neck. It's a male energy. The woman across the street is from New Orleans. She's been in that house for 70 years. She knows this area. She knows the history. And it's him. And he's a rag and bone man. And they were basically like the junk men of that time. They'd go and get cloth and material and metals and whatever with their wagon. And so I really believe it's him. It makes sense. And if you love his house, he loves you. He doesn't bother you. We made it very clear in the beginning. I'm a hard worker. I'm a single parent. Don't touch my kid. Don't bother me. And we can live together. I don't mind.
I don't know, playing tricks on you, like shadows, Sarah. I don't tell me what you're feeling here.
I think the freakiest thing about that is like often you'll justify like, oh, I must have something in my eye, or maybe I just saw something. But then when you have like that affirmation from other people that they've seen it too, it's like, oh shit, I think this might be for real. So yeah, no, that's freaky.
Yeah, I mean, that you're totally right. Right? I mean, you see something, you're like, what was that? And you
Yeah.
kind of like talk yourself out of it, like it must have been something else, and maybe it was. But when you hear other people in the same location as you that have had a similar experience, I mean, the hairs are jumping up on the back of my neck right now as well.
Oh, totally. My favorite part that she said about that though was how the neighbors or the people who had been there had said, if you love this house, he will love you. And I feel like that takes a little bit of the spook out of it. And it's like, you can live in harmony with them. You just need to know, like, it's like you're loving the location that he was at, and there's no nefarious or malicious intent behind it. And it's like, you can just, coexist, cohabitate.
Just you and the spirits.
Yes, exactly.
Nice. Well, let's hope that continues into the future in a very peaceful manner.
No kidding. Yes.
So the next freaky part that I just can't get my head around is related to this dream catcher. Sarah, do you know what a dream catcher is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So anyhow, listen to this experience that she has.
The dream catcher. I'm glad I'm outside saying this, because this is where I feel very uncomfortable. I had a client. She was trying to get her act together. I had an extra room. It got pretty ugly, and about a month or 2 months into it, she was gone. And I would never do this. I mean, forgive me for doing this. I went into this room that she was staying in because I'm like, what is going on? She had a dream catcher hanging from a lamp. The dream catcher was hanging upside down on its own. And I did not see this alone. My boyfriend was with me.
Hanging upside down with nothing. And she's not alone here.
No, that's, again, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. That is some negative energy. I do not like that.
That is freaky.
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain that.
Nope, me neither. Just freaky. And like I say, I'm like, anything hanging upside down, I feel like just, don't need to bother with it.
I mean, I think I would have sold the house by now and just moved the heck out of there.
I would have burned the house down.
I don't need any of this.
None of that juju. No, absolutely not.
So, but there is a fun part to this as well, because it seems that this spirit is actually helpful to a certain extent, and specifically in the salon. A lot of us would love to have an extra pair of hands or an assistant in the salon, right?
I actually, like, between this and the coffee, I think you might have like the perfect salon associate. So
yeah, you know what? Maybe. So listen to what's going on in the actual salon with this spirit.
I'm in the salon. I go to work. Back then, I was extremely busy. A lot of color, and it just would get overwhelming, and the color dishes would build in this sink in the dispensary, and I would just do my best to kind of catch up. Exhausted, got to go feed the child at the end of my long day, and so I'd come back to work the next day. Nobody had been in the salon but me, and things were organized. The Redken color bottles all turned so that the labels show exactly, all the color brushes standing up the same way in the jar. My perm rollers, you got the big black rolling tray, and you pull out the drawers, and, I try to keep the colors together, but somebody would go in and organize them. And, this happens, it still happens. Somebody's organizing my salon after I leave. I've even done things on purpose. My hairbrushes in my drawer, my cutting drawer, I've purposely arranged them. And it doesn't happen as often anymore, but maybe like if I'm done on Friday, everything's cleaned up, come in Tuesday to work, they've been straightened out. So when my daughter lived at home, I thought it was her, goofing with me or pretending to be a hairdresser or sleepwalking. But she's moved out 3 years ago, and it still
Sarah,
happens.
what's your take on this?
Like I say, I'm like, sign me up. I will hire them to come work at the salon. If I could come into my salon every morning and everything is in tip-top shape and perfectly merchandised and everything like that, like, I think he sounds like a great extra set of hands.
Yeah, it's almost like, well, maybe this whole haunted spirit thing is not so bad after all. There's some perks to it. Definitely a little bit freaky, but if they're actually, helping out, maybe not the worst thing.
Exactly. And it kind of goes back to, again, that lady saying, if you love his house, he will love you. And obviously she's treated that house very well. And he's obviously got, good vibes from that. So maybe he's just returning the favor and helping out a bit.
Like that. I like that theory. Let's say that, haunted spirits, if you treat them well, can actually not be too spooky and maybe live harmoniously together.
Absolutely.
All is well that ends well.
Okay, Scott, so I've got another story that I feel like kind of serves as a cautionary tale that I personally relate to being an esthetician. So we're talking pedicures and a pedicure horror story. So listen in.
Okay.
I was an owner of a salon. And so, being an owner of the salon, you never, ever want to turn anybody away, right? Because you want that money to come in. So one day, a current guest called and wanted to get pedicures for both herself and her elderly mom at the same time. And it just so happened that the only time that they could come in was on the day where we only had one nail technician available. Now, me being that owner that doesn't want to lose any money, right? I thought to myself, okay, well, shoot, I can do a pedicure. I learned how to do a pedicure in school. Now, mind you, my specialty is hair color and design. Okay, so keep that in mind. So I decided I'm going to do this pedicure so that we can get both of these lovely women into the salon. So they come in, they sit down, they climb up on our thrones because we had some elevated thrones. They climb up on there and they're just having a good old time. And the nail tech and myself, we're in the back room and I'm talking to her and I'm saying, listen, it's been years. It's been since school since I've done a pedicure. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to follow you. What you do, I'm going to do so that I'm making sure that I'm hitting all of the things that I'm supposed to be doing. So sounded like a great plan to me.
Scott, is this something that feels like a good idea to you?
Hells no. I mean, I have never worked in as a esthetician or stylist, and I would not feel comfortable with this at all. I mean, I understand what she's saying. You don't want to turn down clients when you have the opportunity. I totally get it, but I don't know.
This isn't really a monkey see, monkey do type of situation. So this plan was messed up since Jump Street. Like this was just right from the get-go. This was not a good plan.
This sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. I gotta see what goes on here.
So we proceed to start the pedicure and we get to the portion of the massage. So I did pretty good up until the massage portion, which you would think would be the easiest portion. But our nail tech, she was very experienced in reflexology. And in some of the reflexology techniques, you kind of like massage and pull and stretch at the same time. And so I thought, okay, I'm watching her out of the corner of my eye, watching her do this. So I'm thinking, I can do that. So I go to start to do that, and I grab hold of this elderly woman's big toe, and I start massaging and pulling, and all of a sudden she screams.
Now in a salon during especially a spa relaxing service, like a pedicure, I'm sure a scream is the last thing that you want to hear. That made my stomach drop and made me want to feel sick immediately. So I can only imagine how she felt in this situation.
I'm like, what worse sound could you hear when you're working on a client in the salon? All of a sudden, the client just screams. I'd be like, what's going on?
Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
nightmare. So why did she scream then?
And I'm like, what just happened? She's like, I don't know. What'd you do? What did you do? And I'm like, I don't know what I did. What's wrong? And she's like, my toe, it really, really hurts. And I'm like, okay. She goes, let me just stand up. I just want to stand up. So as soon as she stood up and put pressure on her toe snapped right back inside the socket. Here, I did not realize that I was that strong, first of all, but I pulled her toe out of her socket and she had to stand up to pop it back in. Needless to say, the pedicure was done at that point, and she never came back again for a pedicure, which I don't think I would either. But that was the absolute last pedicure I have ever done, and I will never do another.
Oh my gosh, just so many questions running through my head. Sarah, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm wondering, yeah, like, is there a dislocated toe discount of some sort? Like, did she pay full price? Is there a tip included, or was the tip again just that the toe popped in on itself and now she doesn't have to go to the doctor and pay that medical bill? Like, yeah, what a shit show.
Yeah, maybe she should be tipping because, this girl avoided her going to the hospital and having further damage to her toe, right?
Exactly. It could have been far worse. So, oh gosh, poor girl. But again, cautionary tale. Like, it's like, just because you have access to the products doesn't mean that you know how to do it. So leave it to the professionals.
Okay, we have got one last story to share with you today that is going to blow your mind. Sarah, when I heard this, I feel like we might have to start a true crime podcast actually with this particular story. So here's the gist of it. This woman has been working at a salon in, we'll just call it Central USA. Many, many years. We're dating ourselves back to the 80s here when this story actually took place. But she had a loyal client for many years. We're going to call this client Mary. Okay, for anonymity purposes. Mary was married at the time, but was having an affair with a new boyfriend named Ted. And obviously, as the stylist, this was the salon owner and stylist, she got all the gossip, right?
Oh,
she knew.
Yes, I was going to say, I know all the juice and all the tea about every single one of my clients. It's great.
Yeah,
You can live vicariously through them.
Absolutely. She was getting all the gossip. She knew that, this client, Mary, was cheating on her husband. But obviously, all that stays. What happens in the salon stays in the salon. But one day, the boyfriend, we call him Ted, came in to actually have a hair service himself. So this stylist / salon owner also did the hair of the boyfriend. She said he was a weird looking guy. He had bleached hair and bleached eyebrows the first time that he came in, was bragging that he had 16 children from 16 different women.
Myrtle.
Like, yeah. That's a serious red flag. But the stylist did not mention any of this to her client, Mary, just carried on as is. So this is going on. Mary eventually got divorced and started, openly dating Ted. What's, again, a red flag is that Ted at some point got another woman pregnant while he was still dating Mary. And the three of them, Mary, Ted, and Ted's other girlfriend, kind of they were living in the same house for a while as this other woman was raising a child. I mean, Sarah, how does this even happen?
Yeah, again, this doesn't seem like it's going to end. It's not starting well. It doesn't feel like it's going well, which leads me to believe it's likely not going to end well.
It is not going to end well. So one day, the stylist is working on the hair of her main client, Mary, right? Longtime client. This is a Thursday, sort of, I guess, early evening, I believe was the timing of it. All of a sudden, boyfriend Ted comes storming into the salon, causes this scene, walks through the reception, starts shouting and gets into an argument and sort of shouting match with Mary, who's, having her hair done at this time. Then all of a sudden, he storms back out. And this stylist salon owner didn't think more of it, a little bit odd, a little bit unnerving and kind of uncomfortable for all the other clients in the salon to experience that. But you know what? The day ends and nothing more to it. Until Saturday morning, stylist salon owner reads the newspaper. And on the front page of the newspaper, the article said, "Woman's body parts found in the river."
No.
Now, they just see this in newspaper. No big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, sorry, I shouldn't say no big deal.
No, I know what you mean. But like not really any like connection. Yeah,
Yes,
no, I feel you.
absolutely. It's like, oh, this is weird. Like for this to be happening in our town, like, oh my gosh, I wonder what it is, who it is.
Yeah.
On the third page of this same newspaper, it also said that a woman named Mary has been reported missing by her family, and that she hasn't been seen since Thursday evening, which was when she was in the
At her hair
salon.
appointment, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
A family member had talked to her that evening after she had been to the salon, but nobody had seen her. And it was now Saturday, and they had gone, I think, 24 hours without hearing anything, and they thought it was a little bit weird, so they had reported her missing. So the salon, they're thinking, oh, this is weird. Mary, she's our client. She's gone missing. Huh. And everyone obviously suspected that maybe there had been some foul play with the boyfriend, Ted. So the salon owner actually went and reported it to the police and mentioned that the boyfriend had been in the salon and they had had a big argument and that he'd stormed out. And that's the last that, she or anyone in the salon had actually heard anything. So police went to the house, and apparently he had burned down his shed in the backyard. So there was no way for the police to sort of uncover any kind of evidence. Later that week, more body parts were found in the river, and they were able to identify that it was indeed Mary.
No, Mary. That is so sad.
Like, ugh.
Oh, that is awful. So then what ended up happening? Was it Ted?
So it took 2 years that there was nobody officially accused, nobody arrested. The police were doing all of their, investigating, but apparently Ted had an alibi and they were not able to find any kind of shred of evidence until 2 years later, Ted's son turned on him and actually testified to the police that he had seen Ted with the body.
Holy shit.
So Ted was charged, arrested, and eventually convicted of the murder, went to jail, and I don't know if this is considered karma or not, but he was killed in jail 2 years later by another inmate.
I would call that karma.
Yeah.
I wish no ill will on any human being, but you suck, Ted. We're not gonna say he deserves it, but we're not gonna say he doesn't deserve that. So,
Yeah. How do you feel in the salon? Like if you had a client of yours, Sarah, that a regular client for many, many years, and, all of a sudden you read in the newspaper that they've gone missing, and then obviously this was a story in the community that, grew bigger. They were finding more and more body parts. They eventually find out that it's her, like this client that you've known, and the last place that she was seen is in the salon. It's like, ugh.
Oh, that is so unsettling. I actually can't fathom it. And I'm a little bit of like a true crime connoisseur. So the first thing I thought when you said the last place she was seen was at the salon, I was like, oh no, her stylist is going to be a person of interest. She's the last person that saw her. So, but like, I'm like, that's the first thing that went to my head. But Oh gosh, that is so awful. What a terrible story with like so many people that were obviously affected.
I know, very, very freaky. This one is not something to make fun of,
No.
by any means. Definitely appropriate for a salon horror story.
Oh, no kidding.
And,
Oh, yeah. What a
and
way to end the horror stories, though, with like a real life horror show.
I think we're definitely going to need to carry on with some more episodes like this, Sarah, as there seems to be lots of intriguing salon mishaps, salon horror stories out there that need to be told.
Oh, I agree completely. And if we can't commiserate and laugh over, our shared misery, then what can we do about it? So no, I love that idea.
Perfect. Tune in to future episodes for salon horror stories. This has been Scott and Sarah. Happy Halloween, everyone.
Keep it spooky.